I would start this year off the right way. Today I'm not going to say turn, I become 66 years old. Oh my gosh. I'm picking up speed. I'm going to be hitting 70 one day soon. I know that's like a few years off, but I feel like I'm picking up speed. I'm not going slow, I'm going fast. So last night, uh, I was watching Jeffrey on his Rumble channel, and they got into some topics that I thought maybe we might want to talk about today. And it's all about the end times. I probably should let me move this. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Let me go like this. There we go. Yeah, so last night I'm listening to Jeff Gonzalez on his Rumble channel, and they started getting into the end days topic about what's going on in the world today. And there's so much going on. And it would be easy today to be deceived about what really is happening today. I believe, well, let me backtrack. In 1986, I was a drunk and in and out of jail. I wasn't a good dad, but I wanted to be. I wanted to be a good dad, and I didn't want to be a drunk. And I tried and tried and tried to stop, and I would stop for a little while. Hey, Bigfoot Dwarf BD, what's up, man? Happy Earth Strong, yeah. Yeah, so I was trying to be a good dad and a good person, but there's no way. There's no way you could be a good person, right? Like, we're born human with all kinds of problems. What's up, Frank? Thank you, man. I could use all the prayers. They're working though. Prayers work. Today is like a wonderful, wonderful day. It's 70 something, like in the low 70s. A little bit of a breeze. It's freaking beautiful today. And it's my birthday, so like that makes it even more happy. Even though I don't like the idea of getting older, I look at it as I'm picking up speed, you know what I mean? I'm getting up there and getting really fast. But yeah, so in 1986, I was looking at like 35 years in prison for being stupid. And I'm not going to tell the whole story. I've talked about it before. But that day, I will say though, thank you. I will say that I never went to church. I still don't go to church. I went to church for a little while right after I found out God was real. And the only way I knew at that time that he was real was I didn't want to go to jail for 35 years or prison. So I started out by when they let me out of jail, they said I would be in there forever. And then at the last minute, the DA changed his mind and thought putting me out back in the street of the people I tried to run over with the car was probably a worse punishment. So they let me out. But nobody wanted to see me. My wife didn't want to see me. My friends didn't want to see me. Boy, it's noisy out here. I hope my voice is overpowering all this noise. So I'm sitting out there in, they call it Courthouse Park, around the courthouse, and I didn't have anybody to turn to. Everybody was tired of my stuff. So I said, if you're real, God, you got to help me stop drinking, because I can't stop. That was my last day drinking. That was April 26, 1986. I'll never forget that day. But that's when God became real to me, because I didn't even desire to drink. And a couple of times in that year, before the year was out, I tried to get drunk, and I couldn't even drink. I couldn't even stand the smell of it. It was kind of weird. But here we are. And here we are in the last days. I know a lot of people are wanting to live in this time where they want to live in this time where things are looking better, right, for the world. We have all this enlightenment happening, fraud being exposed. They've been all these things they've been stealing, and you guys know. Just turn on the news. Everybody's talking about it, and it looks like things are turning to be good. Better days ahead. The golden age, they're calling it. It might be like that, but there's some things that we have to think about. In the Bible, it talks about there's the big signpost, and the generation that sees this signpost happen, they will know that generation will not pass away before we all see Jesus. That signpost happened in 1948. It said, when you see Israel become its own nation again, its own country again, that would usher in the return of Jesus. That happened in 1948. So from like when I first learned of that, I started reading about so what do it says to start looking, right? What do you look for? What are we looking for? What should we be watching for besides Jesus returning? There would be other signs, right? There would be signs in the heavens. So 2014 comes around. Now I'm thinking, man, we're getting close to the end of that generation that's not supposed to pass away, and it looks like nothing's happening, right? So nothing's happening. Like, how is all this going to play out if we're coming to the end of the generation that was born in 1948? Well, 2014, I think it was 2014, don't quote me, but everybody should remember there was 4 blood moons that year. Every one of those blood moons fell on a Jewish holiday or a feast day. Now that was like, hey, whoa, something might be happening, because the heavens are now starting to maybe show a sign, right? Well, then the next year, it did it again. 4 blood moons all on a feast day. It's like, oh, is that a coincidence? I don't believe in coincidences. That means something is up. It also says that you'll be watching for the birth pains. The earth will start having birth pains, and it'll let you know that it's going to do this because it's getting excited for the return of the creator of everything, even the earth, the heavens, everything. Well, the earthquakes started going off the chart. We're having more earthquakes every day than we ever had, that we have been keeping track of earthquakes. Big ones too. The weather, the same. Everything is going off the charts. Then in 2017, another sign in the heavens. The constellations lined up to a Revelations, in the book of Revelations, sign, where all these constellations lined up, and it only happened, I think, a couple of times in past history. The first time it ever happened, and you know, now with computers you can roll it all back and you can look at this stuff. The first time it ever happened was when Jesus came to the earth the first time. The second time it happened was when Israel became a nation. The third time it happened is right now, 2017. I think it was 2017. I might have my dates wrong, but it happened. So then you start looking at geopolitical things. It also talks about what will be going on in governments and things like that. And we're seeing that all line up as well. I mean, the October 7th attack from one country into Israel, that was like a big deal. That was actually foretold a long time ago, like a couple of thousand years ago. And this story that I'm talking about actually has been told throughout the ages, thousands of years. There's prophecies going back thousands of years to what we're getting ready to experience. Even though it looks like everything's changing for the good, and that would be like a deception, it would make everybody feel comfortable. No, Jesus isn't coming. Things are too good, right? I want to live I want to see some of this. Man, it's been so hard. Let's have some easy time, right? Let's not work so hard. Let's let the governments get changed. There was some more prophecy, and that was a description of a man. And I'm not going to say this man's name because it doesn't say in the scriptures what this man's name is. I'll just describe him, and then you tell me if this guy's alive or not. But this guy was going to be popular all around the world. He was going to be able to fix economies, like fix people's money economy. He was going to talk peace. He was actually going to make a peace deal between these countries that attacked Israel and all the other countries around it. He was going to bring that peace. And he was going to usher in 3.5 years of peace and prosperity on the earth. Kind of looks like that's what we're coming to, right? This man, all the countries in the world and kings and leaders of the countries are going to be calling for this guy to come in and help them. We have a guy like that right now. At first I thought it might be Mr. Obama, but because he was popular like that around the world, but he didn't have the fix your economy and peace broker. Even though he was peace, he didn't bring peace. But now we have a guy that is doing that. So all these things that I talked about, the constellations, the weather, the earth shaking, the geopolitical movements and wars and rumors of wars, this man that's coming onto the scene that is going to bring in what they call in the scripture a 7-year tribulation. So for the first 3.5 years of that tribulation is going to be peace and prosperity for the people. That doesn't mean that there still won't be signs in the heaven, and it doesn't mean that there still won't be the earth in birth pangs to the actual time, the beginning of the seventh and final, or at the end of this story, the 7th 1,000-year reign of Christ on earth. we're right there. And one other thing I want to point out is we know some things for sure. Like there's some extra biblical text that if you look into it, it tells you when Jesus would be on the earth. It tells you when Adam was born. So you can figure all this stuff out, and it seems if you go by these stories, that Jesus was on the earth at the last few years of the sixth 1,000 year, or the fourth 1,000 years of these seven, what they call days, these days of 1,000 years. Jesus was on the fourth day at the end of that fourth day of 1,000 years. Now, by our own calendar, we know that we're living in 2025, which is about 2,000 years since Jesus was walking on the earth. If Jesus was here on the fourth day of 1,000 years, at the end of the fourth day of 1,000 years, and then you add our 2,000 years to our calendar to that puts us at 6,000. At the end of 6,000. Because he was at the end of the fourth day of 1,000 years. Since then, 2,000 years have passed. And here we are, right? Here we are with signs in the heavens. Here we are with earthquakes, all the geopolitical stuff. This one guy coming on the scene that matches the description of what they describe in the scriptures. There was another guy in there they describe as well, and he was called the false prophet. And he was the one that works with the Antichrist guy. And this guy, he was going to help bring the beast system alive. And here we are, this guy, he's in there, and he's doing great things, right? Really great things. But he also has Neuralink, which could be the mark of the beast, where you can't buy or sell without the mark. We already know they could go digital on us anytime, and they could shut you off or whatever digitally. If they take away the cash out of our hand and they make it all digital, you wouldn't be able to buy or sell if they turned it off. And these people that accept the mark or the Neuralink or whatever it looks like, I'm saying that we're probably seeing it. And AI coming in. It all seems like good things, right? Hey, Bolt Gun, what's up, man? What is GTSY? Gutsy? I don't know. But we're seeing all this stuff, and I've been having dreams and visions for the last 3 years, and they're not good ones, right? Good to see you all. Hey, that's cool. GTSY. Yeah. Yeah, so I've been having these dreams and visions, and they're not good. Most of it is pretty bad. And I couldn't figure out, like, why is it so bad? Unless I'm reading the scripture and asking, and I get that we're towards this 3.5 years. We're coming up to this start of the 3.5 years. So there's one more little signpost that we all should be looking for. If this man that's on the earth that fits the description of a man in the scriptures that's supposed to be the Antichrist, if this is all playing out like how it looks like it is, then we should be looking for a peace agreement in Israel, between where they're having war right now and fighting and Gaza and all this stuff. We should be looking for some kind of peace agreement to happen. we're seeing that. I mean, they've been talking about it for years. But then you have this guy that matches the description of this person that in the Bible that he even says he's going to own Gaza. You guys heard that in the news, right? Within the last month. This guy could possibly sign that deal and get peace and fix everybody's economy and usher in the 7-year tribulation. Now, when this peace deal gets signed, that would signal that Jesus is going to call up all his people out of the earth. We are so close to that, you guys. So close. What I'm trying to get at is, don't be deceived. Okay? Enjoy everything while you can. Don't be deceived by thinking this one guy is the savior of the world, right? Ushering in peace and prosperity and all that. Don't think that that's the guy. Because I got to tell you, some people I know say it can't be that guy because all the bad guys want to kill him. That's because he's the anti of Christ. So if you take the anti off, he's Christ. The Bible calls him the anti-Christ, which he would be the opposite of Christ. But to the world, you take the anti off because that's what he's going to look like. He's going to look like a savior. He's going to look like the guy that saves the world. That's the deception. That's the deception. He's not the Christ, but he's going to look like it. He's going to do things. And then in the middle of the 3.5 years of this 7-year tribulation, after all of Jesus' people are taken away, this guy's going to get, it says, a wound, a fatal wound to his head. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if it's a shot or if he gets knocked in the head with a hammer or he falls off the curb and breaks his noggin. I don't know what it looks like. All I know is it says a fatal wound to his head. And he's going to die. And for 3 days, just like Jesus was in the tomb, for 3 days, he's going to lay dead. And everybody in the world is going to mourn over this guy because they thought he was it. But then when he raises from the dead, everybody's going to know he's Christ. Because especially the Jews, they don't believe Jesus is Christ or their Messiah. But when they see the guy that brokered the peace deal, when they see him, like, he's not going to be the Christ guy for the first 3.5 years. He's going to be whoever he is. Nobody's going to know that he is that, not even him. But when he takes the fatal wound to his head and he's dead for 3 days and then he raises up alive, everybody's going to say, whoa, that's the Christ, that's the Messiah, that's him. That fulfills the scripture. 3 days dead and then he raises. The Bible talks about it a whole bunch of times, but nobody accepts the first one, the real one, the true one. But they're gonna accept this one. The whole world will. The only thing that brings him to life, though, is the devil himself is going to jump in this guy and bring him back to life. It's going to be actually, that guy's gone. He really did die. His spirit's exit stage left. But now when he jumps back and jumps back up alive, that's going to be Satan indwelling in him. When that happens, he's going to do miracles. He's going to call fire out of the heavens. He's going to do some real miracles like Christ, like the Messiah. walking on the earth. He's going to do miracles, and everybody's going to be for sure knowing that's who he is. During this first 3.5 years, they're going to build a temple in Israel. They're already building it. Hey, Chuck, GTSY. I like that new thing. So they're going to build a temple. They got the red heifers. They have all the stuff. The only thing holding them back that I could see is there's a temple there already, a Muslim temple. But that's for the negotiator guy that's going to make the peace agreement. I'm probably sure that they're going to come up with something where this temple could be built, because this guy that I know, that I think he's a builder. He builds things. That's what he does. That's what he did. That's how he became a billionaire. He's a builder. He likes to do things. That is probably right up his alley, is get that built, and quickly and efficiently and cost effectively. So we're seeing all this stuff. Now, you don't got to do nothing, okay? You don't got to quit drinking. You don't got to quit smoking. You don't got to quit doing anything. All you got to do is believe that the first guy that claims he's Messiah really was God walking on the earth in the flesh. And that was him, the real one. I'm feeling great. I'm in a lot of pain still, but I'm feeling great. Thank you guys, and keep praying for me. I'm almost at the end of the story. Really, I am. I just want to make sure that when the trumpet blasts, and he calls his people out, and you change in the twinkling of an eye into your body, like how when Christ rose from the dead, it was a resurrection of his body, but he actually took his flesh with him. He's not the only one, but some people were called to heaven, like Enoch and stuff like that. But he's the only one that died and resurrected from the dead, and then took on his flesh body and spiritual body and turned into the actual body that Adam and Eve were created to be, that we all were supposed to be. And what he did was he took that back, that curse, and now he's coming back to take it all the way back. And when you hear the trumpet blast, you're going to change. Your flesh is going to change to that immortal body, spirit body, like the Messiah, Jesus. And then we'll be off for 7 years while all hell breaks loose on earth. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not, but only I care for everybody, not just all my good friends, especially my good friends that I'm talking to right now, and anybody tuning in. I care for everyone, and I don't want anybody to miss out on this time that we're in, that we're so close to. It could be any minute that you could be changed to this immortal body, because we don't die. We absolutely don't die. Our flesh dies, and right now it does. Our flesh dies, but our spirit moves on to the next realm. And one day, if you die today and you don't believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Christ, the God that walked on the earth and became a man and walked on the earth, and then died and then resurrected, that will keep you here. That will keep you here when the trumpet blasts. If you don't believe that, that'll keep you here. And why I say it's not hard, it's really good news. This is really good news. A lot of people think they have to give up this or that or stop or be good. I mean, you have to try, but you don't have to, because when the Messiah was walking on the earth and they put him on the cross, there was 2 other people on crosses. right next to him on either side. One of them, and both of them were thieves, robbers, killers. Both of them. They deserved to be on the tree, on the crosses. Jesus didn't deserve it. One guy didn't even give a flip. But the other guy, he knew that Jesus wasn't supposed to be there. That he didn't do anything to be there. He didn't do anything. He wasn't bad. He wasn't a thief. He wasn't a murderer. He didn't deserve what he was getting. And he said as much. And all he did was acknowledge that that guy didn't deserve that. And he believed he really was God in the flesh. And that's when Jesus turned to him and said, because of what you said, you'll be with me in paradise today. Okay? That gives hope to everyone. That means he didn't have to quit smoking. He didn't have to quit drinking. He didn't have to be goody two-shoes. He didn't have to go to church every Sunday. He didn't have to do anything. All he had to do was acknowledge that was God in the flesh and understand that he was dying for everybody's sins. And he did. And he was with him that day in paradise, I believe. So that seems pretty easy, right? That's good news. That's good news. When I started this story, I talked about how bad a drunk. I didn't want to be a drunk. I got myself into drinking little bit by little bit, partying, and then pretty soon I was a monster, That doesn't mean I'm good because I quit drinking. I still have problems. I still am human. Everyone, there's nobody that can say they're totally 100% good. They can not drink and they can not party and they can not cuss. Doesn't matter though. The flesh is cursed ever since Adam and Eve. So really all you have to do to change everything is accept Jesus as the Messiah. That's it. That's all. Acknowledge him. Tell him, I know you're real. I know. And save me from myself. And then go on. Just keep believing. And you're saved. That's it. I know the churches make it seem hard. The Catholics got to do Mother Marys and all this stuff. You don't got to do nothing, okay? I just want to make sure, and it ain't hard. And hey, if I'm wrong, what was the harm? If I'm right, it could be bad for a person. But if I'm right, there's easy. That's so easy. You could do that. Anyone can do that. When you do that, I'll let you know when you do that, because I did that way back, April 26, 1986. You will change, but he will change you. You can't change yourself to please God. Believe me. There's nothing you could do in this cursed body, flesh. There ain't nothing you could do to please him. Nothing. I mean, you can make him a little bit happy. You can be generous, stuff like that. That pleases him. You get rewards and stuff for that. But actually, like changing yourself to be a goody two-shoes, it won't be perfect because we're not perfect. But he will start working in you, and without you even realizing it, you will start changing. You'll see things different. You'll do things different. And as if we're here for years, you'll be able to look back and you'll know for sure he's God because you weren't even trying, and all of a sudden you're doing things different and feeling different, talking different, acting different. And the change will be so subtle you won't even notice. But over time you will. And that's what happened with me. And I don't have to try to do anything. It just starts happening because God loves us. He created us. He's our creator. He wants the best for us, just like we want the best for our own kids. And that's all I want. I wanted to really talk about that. After talking on Jeff's show last night, he wanted me to call in and explain something to him. I thought, man, I need to really address this and talk about it because it's important. We're right there. We're at the door. Any minute we could hear this call, this shout. Don't be the one that has to go through the 7 years and then wind up after hearing this knowing that maybe I was right, and then the only way to get there is off with your head, right? So don't be that guy. But I'm not pushing anything on anyone. I'm telling a story about me on my birthday, about where I'm at now, where I was, where I'm at now, and why. And after much research, I think where we are today. And I just want to leave that with you guys. And now we'll change the subject. But only just think about it, okay? Pray about it. See if it isn't real or so. Okay, so that said, I'm going to go buy a knife today at a store. It's like a $40 knife or something like that. But this is it right here. And I'm going to go get another one. It's a big boy. I mean, it's a big daddy one. It's got like Thrn handles, saw cut Thrn, full tang, made in China, but it's $40. Sharp as can be. It's called right edge. I know everything's backward. It's sharp. Okay, so what I want to do, first I want to ask if anyone would be interested in it. I noticed giveaways are popular on YouTube. I've been thinking about it. I just didn't know what to do with it. I really do want to give something away to people besides making sheaths for people, knife sheaths. That's what I do. Anything else I would have to charge for. Like I can do wallets and stuff like that. But I want to do a giveaway of a big old giant knife. Let's see. I don't know like how big this is, but it's a big one. It's a big one. I think the blade is almost 10 or 11 or 12 inches, something like that. It's a giant one. I think it's like 14 inches total, 14 or 15. It comes with a sheath, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a sheath and I'm going to give it away. And I'm going to give a little bit of time because I know not everybody's going to watch this video, and I don't think everybody's going to watch this video till the end just because of what I talked about. But I'm going to make a sheath for this, and next month, I'll talk about it a little bit over the next month. And I want to start the month off right on my birthday, doing a video live, but then also do something for everybody. And I want to do a whole lot more. I mean, you guys are so generous and supportive, and some of you guys been with me a decade or more than a decade. And I think about that a lot because it was that support and knowing you guys are out there that's actually kept me going through a lot of hard, rough spots. And I want to show my appreciation. I wish I could give everyone something, but at least maybe I can do a little drawing on one. And how I want to do it is in a coming video, I'm not going to put, because I know I see these other people giving things away, and I see like a lot of people, they'll hear there's a giveaway and they'll jump on. I really don't care if I grow my channel, okay? I'm mostly doing this for the people that watch. So for all you guys that watch all the time, I'm gonna do this. And so this knife with a brand new custom sheath, and I'm even gonna put a Sasquatch right here. I'm gonna carve it on so the Squatch Zone, Squatch guy is gonna put a Sasquatch on the knife. It'll be a one of a kind, and I know the knife might be not that expensive, but the knife and the sheath with the Bigfoot guy putting a Bigfoot on it becomes probably a collector item, at least to some people, at least to my people that watch me, right? So that's what I'm going to do. And in the future, in videos, I'll be talking about it, and I'm going to talk about it a little, you know, a few times, a few videos. I'll never post anything saying anything about it, but I will talk about it. And I will let everybody know, like, what I'm going to do is in one of the videos, I'm going to show the sheath that I make as I'm making it. I'm going to show it on, you know, in the lives and show everybody where it's at. When it's done, when I have it done and I'm showing it with the knife in it and it's all done, on that video, I'll have everybody type in happy birthday to me. I mean, it's happy birthday, you know? Even though it's not my birthday then, it's my idea on my birthday of how and where and when and all that and what I'm going to do. So in the future, in a live, I will be showing this, and when it's all completed and the Bigfoot's on there and it's all together, on that video, I'll have everyone comment happy birthday. And then a couple of weeks after that, it'll give everybody time to get in there and put happy birthday on there. I'm not going to do it right on that day. So I'll give maybe three lives, and then I'm going to go back to that video, and then live, I'm going to do a random selection generator thing online and have it pick one of the comments that says happy birthday, and whoever that is will win this knife with a nice, I'm going to make it the best I can, leather sheath with a Bigfoot on the front of it. So what do you guys think? Like, if you have a different idea, let me know, because I want to make it for you guys. Like, this is my idea, but if you guys have better ideas of what you would rather have, let me know. Like, would it be a wallet with, but see that now the women and the men, if I make a men's wallet, that doesn't do the women any good. The knife, the women could keep as a keepsake, and they could pass it down to their children and grandchildren, and I'm thinking along that lines. But let me know. You know, let me know. I think we're living in probably the time that everybody in history has been looking forward to. We live in the most exciting time ever. I'm enjoying the heck out of it. It's not gloom and doom to me at all. It's amazing. What's amazing to me is seeing things I read or have read over the years start happening and playing out. And when I'm alive, right, I'm watching this. There's the mailman. So I'm really excited. Like, for me, it's the end of this, the last 6,000 years of BS. I mean, just even in the last 4 years, it's been pretty bad. Hey, Dark Woods, what's up, man? Oh, maybe I might be man. What's up, Dark Woods? Thank you for the birthday wishes. But yeah, you know, to me, it's exciting. Every time something happens in the heavens, like constellations, all the planets lining up right now, like never before. In fact, I was reading. I haven't checked on this, but I was reading. There's a planet that is now uh, showing itself, and the last time, and only the last time, the only time that it ever shown before was when Jesus was born, and now here it is again, right? And that's interesting. I'll check on that and make sure if that's true or not. But to me, it's like I'm loving this. I'm actually loving watching what's unfolding in the United States. I'm cheering that on. If we wind up and I'm wrong, and we wind up looking forward to med beds and prosperity for the United States and the world, and government being reduced back down to how it should be ran. This is a big business, man. Our government is huge, way too huge, bloated, ineffective, wasting money, causing all of us problems. Like, try to go get Social Security and see how hard they fight you for the money that you paid in, right? A 16-foot Bigfoot in the rice fields. 16 feet's a big one. I'm not saying that can't happen, because I saw one that was 10 to 12 feet tall, and I was actually taking a report a few years ago out here, just only like minutes, like maybe 8 miles from my house, of a 14-footer. Doesn't surprise me one bit. I'm not into looking for them as much anymore. I was always praying about it. For some reason, in the back of my mind, I felt like there was something wrong with this whole thing, this Bigfoot thing. And I was always praying about it, like, what are they? Where do they come from? What are they doing here? Like, how come nobody talks about it? Why does the government hide it? I think I know why the government hides it. See, that's amazing, man. That's amazing. I think I know. I think I figured out the Bigfoot thing. It in the scriptures, going back to the scriptures, all right? Going back to the scriptures. It talks about the last days. It's going to be like the days of Noah. Well, when you go back and research the days before the flood, there was something prevalent on earth. It says they'll be drinking and giving in marriage and, all that regular, normal human stuff. But then it also talks about the giants, the Nephilim, the offspring of angels and women, earth women. Right? Human women. So the angels, the bad angels that fell and decided they want to be worshipped by the humans, they took any women they wanted. Like, some people say, oh, well, the women wanted it. They said they took whomever they wanted. The angels took. But hey, some of them might have wanted. Hey, who wants, you don't want to be with a regular old guy when you could be with Superman, right? Some guy that can do anything and change into anything and be anything and be godly like, right? Right. See, I've tracked them. I have a hard time talking about it because I don't think people believe me. I'm talking, what's a trip? The same year I found Jesus and accepted him as my Lord and Savior in my life is the same year, or really the next following year, 1987, about 1 year later is when I had my first Bigfoot encounter that lasted almost 2 hours. Isn't that ironic? That when I was in the woods all my life, and I had weird things happen to me. I had rocks thrown in the creek, big ones, I always thought somebody was effing with me. All kinds of fear would come on me as a kid, and all the way up into my adulthood. I would have a fear come over me when I was out hunting or hiking, and I would actually run. And I would run a couple of football fields before my mind would rationalize, what am I afraid of? I don't see anything, I don't hear anything. Why am I running? Like I would rationalize everything away. All these weird things as I was growing up in the woods, and stories my dad and family would talk about. That's cool. It's better when you have people verify it. See, I didn't either, and my family always denied it, and the ones that would admit it always said that if I said they saw it too, they would deny it in front of everybody because they didn't want to be made fun of. And it was kind of cool when I got put in the wheelchair, and the first 5 years I was in a funk. I believed God could heal me. He wasn't healing me. I was in a bad place. I hid in a little corner in a dark place in my room, and I didn't come out. When I finally started breaking out, and I worked my way out of the wheelchair though. A little bit here, a little bit there, and pretty soon I didn't have one, but I had a cane. And I had a power chair that, if I wanted to really go somewhere like a mall or the fair or out with my friends, I had my van right here with a wheelchair that I could put in with a lift that put it in it and take it out. But when I got going, the first thing I did when I got back out in the world was I decided I had all the time in the world. I don't have to work. I can't do much, but I'm going to see. I really didn't know about anybody seeing a Bigfoot or hearing of a Bigfoot. So I decided I was going to look for people and see if anybody else saw a Bigfoot around here, around where I live. And one day my son came over and he says, "Hey, come on, let's go. They're having a Bigfoot symposium in a little town about 45 minutes from me." And he's like, "Come on, let's go check it out." So we went over there and I met Jeff and David Ray Gosa, and from there is history. And came upon what had to be dozens of... There you go, man. They never run all by themselves. I found that out. You never want to shoot one because they're not alone. Very rare are they by themselves. I learned that all on my own. Way before I even met Jeff and David Ray Gosa and everybody and Danny. I figured out a lot of stuff from 1987 until 2009, I guess, about when I met Jeff and everybody. But I had already done from 1987 to 2009 my own... I don't really want to call it research, but it would be like research. I was trying to figure these things out. And I was always driving 3 hours away, but I would track them. And what's weird is they would track all the way to a place where it was wide open, really good looking tracks. I mean, no confusion on what was there, right? It was a man, and it was huge. It was huge, like this. I'll show you. I'll be right back. But yeah, I mean, I would track them all the way up into this big open area, and then all of a sudden the track would just stop. And I mean, I could walk around making circles further and further out, and the track just ended. But they were big, right? Big tracks. Like, this is big. This is how big that knife is. So about 15 inches. That's big. That's a big track. This one I got about 3 years ago, not far from my house. Not far from my house. It's a big one. Right, I have another one too that was given to me at the Felton Museum. Check this out. I'll bring it over. This one's the big one. Patty? Here's the Patty trap. Check this out. So this is Patty. Right here. Let me pick the one that I found. Next to the Patty one. Look at that. Huge. This one was huge. Now, the people that called me about this one, they said that when they were in their RV and they were playing a game, like a Nintendo or something like that, right? So they're playing Nintendo or some kind of game, and the wife was saying, "Wow," she felt like something was looking at her, and she felt all creeped out. And she looked. They're sitting in their RV, and she looked towards the windshield, and this thing was bent down and looking in the windshield of the RV, but it had to bend over down to look in it. Okay? She screamed. Her husband saw her face, and he turned and looked, and when he looked, this thing got a surprised look on its face, and then turned and jumped like Spider-Man. Now you can see how it turned. You see that? And when it did, it pushed a bunch of mud up in between its toes. In between this one and this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 9. Mud. Pulled up, or one of these is mud. I can't remember which one now, but I think it was this one. The mud, when it pivoted around and then leaped like Spider-Man with its arms straight out in front of it like that, 40 feet. And it landed on the road in front of their place. 40 feet. And the husband said it went between, they had 2 oak trees. This is in the foothills. There's 2 oak trees, and it went right between the oak trees, and it was out like that. Its feet were straight out in front of it, and its arms are in front of it. And as it went through the oak trees, it grabbed the branches and went like that. And he said it looked like a Spider-Man jump. So I figured these things out. In the Bible, it talks about the angels taking any woman and creating giants. And then there's a story about a hairy dude that ran around on the earth, and I can't remember who he was with. Yeah, they do amazing things. So when we finally got DNA off of these, man, my hair's all wild, the wind's blowing. I got a shower today. I took a shower I wasn't supposed to, but I did. It's my birthday, man. I'm gonna take a shower. But so these angels, they took any woman, anyone they wanted, right? But when we got the DNA off the one that slobbered on Jeff's window, the DNA came back. The woman, the mom, was human. Okay, the mom was human, a lady, the girl, the woman. The dad side was unknown. Isn't that anything like what we heard in the days of Noah? The angels would be unknown DNA, right? But you could know what the woman's side was. And as I'm praying about this and trying to figure these things out, God's revealing things to me, right? Well, now that I had back surgery, I'm contemplating on hiking this spring and summer, and I would love to go out with you. I'm not really concerned if I find them or not. I already encountered them so many times, and I've seen them like 5 times, different places, all around, different sizes, different colors. Um, but only, you know what? They come after me. I don't have to go looking for them. We could be sitting in camp and we'll start getting harassed by these things. And so, but I still love to go. I'm still scared shitless of them. I'll tell you right now, I feel like they're not good. I always did, but I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to die either. I already died. I already went over there. I already know we don't die, you know. Sure, let's do it, man. Email me, Allen, ALLEN 59 Thomas at gmail.com. Give me an email. We'll exchange information because I would love that, man. You know, I'm in the Central Valley, right? In between, or right, just only like 10 minutes from the foothills, though. But they're all down here, man. We could go to Reedley at 1 or 2 in the morning, and we can scare them up right in the river, right there, in the town of Reedley. I still have some people that work over in there in the night, janitors and stuff like that. They hear them screaming down in the river canyon still to this day, all the time. It scares them. They actually wear headphones and stuff so that they don't hear it because they have to work, but they don't want to be there, you know. See, I know they could have killed me my whole life at any time, right? They could have. If they're gonna kill me, they already would have. But that doesn't mean I'm still not scared. Like the first one I saw, that is the one that set the tone for me in these things. I mean, it was 12 feet, every bit 10 to 12 feet tall. It looked like from a distance, I thought it was a really tall guy with long legs. It had long legs, but it had a V cut. He was like huge. I thought it was a big, giant, puffy coat. But he was like, I thought it was a big coat. That's because I couldn't see his neck. It looked like he was sitting on top of a big, puffy coat. But after about 35, 40 minutes, something like that, because we were there to hunt and we got there way before the sun came up. We were actually going to hike about 30 minutes and get over the ridge that this thing came down before the sun came up. So we got there way before the sun came up. It was too dark to walk. That's why we were still sitting there. But maybe about 15 or 20 minutes before we would have left to go hike up that hill, that's when we saw him up there and he started walking down to us. You know, and that kept us from leaving. Like, who is this guy? Like, what is he doing up there? How did he get there without us knowing? Sweet, I got a lot of stuff too, man. I got a lot of stuff. I had a thermal camera, but I gave it to somebody, so I was gonna sell it, but I have other video equipment, audio equipment. I got all the camping gear and all that too. I need a new sleeping bag. I gave that to my granddaughter the other day, but I was born in the woods. Grew up in Yosemite, all around this area right here. My dad and his best friend, they were outdoorsmen, shooting, hunting, fishing, and we shot and killed we ate everything we killed pretty much, you know, rabbits, birds, bear, deer. The one time we even got a porcupine and made spaghetti one night. I mean, I was born tracking and hunting and shooting and fishing. I don't like fish. I like to fish, but I don't like to eat them. But yeah, man, I'm a mountain guy from way back, way back. In fact, I raised my kids when we started having kids and took on some foster kids. I moved up to the foothills and I wanted to raise my kids kind of like how I was raised, out of the towns, you know, and out in the country, and teach them how to hunt and fish and track. They weren't so interested in it as I was. I loved it, but I still taught them to shoot. I taught them to play golf in the pasture, you know. But whatever they wanted to do, I helped them. But that's how I grew up. Yeah, that would be so fun. But yeah, I think these things are Nephilim. especially when you start knowing what you know that you learned over the years about disappearing, jumping. Like I watched one jump, a broad jump. It was actually hunting, and it did a broad jump. It was probably like 25 feet, and it blew me away, and I couldn't get out of there fast enough. It scared the you know what out of me. And that one was only about 8.5 feet tall, though. But he wasn't as thin as the first one I saw, but he was just as big, if not bigger, you know. Oh, right on. Cool. Right on. Yeah, I seen one up Kings River one night. We were out shooting this guy's air gun. He had a Benjamin air rifle, a 357 caliber, single shot, and I saw one that night. And he didn't see it, but he could tell by the way I was reacting. He wanted to get out of there really bad. We then later saw UFOs about 7 miles down the canyon. We stopped. I mean, after I told him, okay, we could stop, but we parked on the middle of a big bridge behind Pine Flat, right in the middle of the bridge, and because I didn't want to be anywhere near the woods. I wanted to be like where I felt safe, and the bridge felt safe, as safe as you could be, anyways. And then while we're standing there, and I'm telling him what was going on, then some UFOs fly over, right? We were trying to take pictures of it with our back then cell cameras that were a piece of junk, you know. Nowadays we probably could have got pretty good pictures of it. But yeah, man, these and then I don't know, haven't seen one at the spot, but only we've had the monkey chatter. It started off as owls, and there was several of them, and then all of a sudden they started acting like monkeys. It was really a trip for a couple hours. And at the one day at the Thule Res, we camped out over there. We were invited to camp at the Thule Reservation, where they have the painted rock of the Bigfoot, you know, the famous Bigfoot painting on the rock. We were over there, and we were sitting there, and we could hear a kitten meowing. And there was a kid that was with us, a 12-year-old, and he was looking for the kitten. I didn't want him to go wandering off. His mom didn't care. She felt safe. But I know these things, you know, people disappear. I've had a teacher disappear right around where I saw Bigfoot the very first time. And we heard this kitten, and he wanted to find the kitten. I followed around and looked with him and searched. We looked everywhere. It was just right there. You could hear it was right there, but we couldn't see it. Couldn't see the kitten. Never found a kitten. The next morning, a key was left on the bed of her truck. And the tailgate was open, and there was a key left right on the tailgate. Hey, Bubba, what's happening, brother? Check this out, Bubba. Got this one about 20 miles from my house. How do you like that, man? That's a big one. And this one's the Patterson Gimlin one right here. Big one. It's a big one. Wow. Big foots. Yeah. Yeah, so there was a key left on the tailgate of her truck. And I think it was the next weekend or that same weekend after we left, something happened. That they have on the reservation back there, and the Thule Reservation is huge, right? Hundreds of acres. And towards the Sierras, like it starts down in the foothills, and then it goes back into the high country. And way back at the backside of the reservation, it actually has giant sequoias, like what's at Sequoia National Park in Yosemite, the giant sequoias. they have a grove of giant sequoias on their reservation, and they have these little cabins. And it's just a one-room cabin with a wood stove, and I think there's four of them, and that's where we stayed. Well, as as we were packing up to leave, we only used two of the cabins. Two of the cabins were empty, and as we were leaving, a family that lives on the res came, and they were a whole bunch of them, and they took this one cabin, and they were setting up, and I don't know how long they were going to stay. And we were coming back the next weekend to do another weekend. When we came back, the first thing we noticed was that cabin that they were at, they left everything, and it was destroyed. In fact, as we were driving up on it, one of the windows of the cabin, they're like shutters, not really glass windows or anything, just some shutters that you can open up like a window. A bear comes flying out of this cabin and runs off right in front of us. And we're like, whoa, man, you see that? Yeah. Well, that cabin was wide open, and they left everything, all their camping equipment, all this stuff, food all over the place. I mean, sleeping bags, clothes, shoes, everything was left there. And later on, I found out that something occurred there. Somebody died. And that's all I could find out, right? That's all I could find out. That something happened, and the tribe is being really mum about it. And I heard that somebody died or went missing or something like that, and one of the guys took off after whoever, and when he got back, everybody was gone and everything was left, and he had to walk all the way down back down to civilization from there. And it's it's a good, I don't know, hour and 20-minute drive up back in these. I mean, it's dirt roads, but a good hour and 20 minutes back there to this camp. In fact, at that same place, maybe 3 years before this incident, we were invited up there. My nephew lived on the res with his girlfriend and her daughters, and they've been together, I don't know, a few years. And he invited us to go camping, and we went up there, and we were camped at Chololo Falls, what they call Chololo Campground that goes to Chololo Falls. And one night, I had to go empty, drain my radiator. Yeah, I hear you. I don't like. Well, if it's high country, it's not so bad, but the lower country, it's hot. So It was like I don't even know what time in the morning, man. Yeah, today is my birthday, 66. I'm picking up speed, getting faster and faster. How do you? So I step out of the tent, zip up the door, and walk about 10 feet from the tent, because you don't want to drain your radiator right in front of the tent where everybody walks. So I stepped off, and we were under this big, huge canopy. There's these old 200-year-old oak trees, huge, giant oak trees, and we're camped under that. I made a big old giant canopy, and it was a full moon, and yeah, true, huh? True. So I start draining the radiator, and I look up in front of me, and just gonna look, like when you're out there, you don't want to be unaware of your surroundings. There's mountain lions, there's bears, there could be anything, humans. Those are the worst, scariest ones to me, is the humans, the two-legged critters. Besides, the big hairy guys. But there was the big hairy guy, and he was under the canopy with me. He's probably like 15 feet from me. And I couldn't make out any facial features, but I could see him perfect because he's under the shadow with me and under the shadow of the oak. But behind him, I could see everything really like good because it's a full moon. You know, you can see the ground and the bushes and everything really good. But he was standing there and he was towering above me and he was just going like this, just rocking back and forth. And he was big, right? Well, thank you, sir. This dude was big. Big, big. Like, wow. Even though I couldn't see muscle definition or anything like that, he was thick. I pissed all over myself. Like, trying to get back in the tent. I know I made noise. And I went in there and I'm waiting for him to get me. I covered up I'm thinking I'm in a tent. Like, how safe is that? I mean, it looks like he could pick my car up and throw it 50 feet. How safe am I in a tent? I feel safer because there's, you know, it's a big tent. There's like 8 of us in there. And I figure if he doesn't get me, he'll eat somebody else, right? That's how I was thinking. I know that's bad, right? Bad. And I'm hoping he doesn't eat me and he eats somebody else. But so I'm laying there, I got the covers over my head. I mean, I got in my sleeping bag and got way down in there and I'm thinking I'm like a soft taco laying in a sack lunch. That was my thoughts, right? I'm in a sack lunch in like a soft taco burrito thing. And that's my thoughts. Oh yeah, I don't know if they're ape. I think they're like men. I really do. I don't think I think they're Nephilim more like in the Book of Enoch, the hairy guy. I can't remember his name, but him and that one dude went rumbling around and they became friends. First they were enemies. But anyways, like I'm laying there and then I hear my nephew, the one that lives on the res and invited us to go camping there. I hear him. I didn't know it was him though, but I hear the tent unzip. Zip. I'm thinking, oh dang, you know, he's going out there. And I could hear him stepping off towards, you know, away from the tent. All of a sudden I hear a bunch of cussing and he's like almost tearing the tent down trying to get back in. And I'm laying there. He got back in and I guess he did the same thing as me, man. He just covered himself up. I went to sleep. Who goes to sleep? When you know there's something out there that's 8, 9, 10 feet tall, massive, monster, and you go to sleep? I mean, I went to sleep. Impossible. I was so scared. I can't believe I went to sleep. How did it put me to sleep? I don't know. What did it do after I went to sleep? I don't know. It was like I was tripping out. So then in the morning, we're sitting around and we're having breakfast and coffee and all that. And my nephew gets up and I'm like, hey, I go, what happened last night? I heard you. He just starts cussing again. He was like, you know, blankety blank Sasquatch, you know. And I thought, oh, geez, you know, he saw what I saw. Now, there's more about that night. When you go with Jeff takes motion sensors, and we have a little motion sensor that the lights go off, and there's 4 motion sensors. We put one on each, you know, north, south, east, west, you know, around the tent, about 10 feet away from the tent. And if anything breaks that motion sensor inside the tent, a little light will go off and start blinking, and it'll like 1, 2, 3, 4. So you know but according to which number starts blinking, it'll go a really light little beep, 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 beep. You know something's out there. It could be a deer, a squirrel, a raccoon, a somebody, right? A Sasquatch. Well, when I got back in the tent, one light was going off, and it was the one that on the side where I went. Now, after my nephew got back in the tent, it started beeping too. Instead of one, it was going beep. It was going beep, 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 beep. That means two sensors are going off. And I looked, and on the complete opposite side of the tent, that sensor was going off. So that means there was two of them, one on each side of the tent. I only saw one, and now, mind you, this is what's going on, and the next thing I know, I'm waking up. Okay? I see two sensors going off. I know there's two of them. I'm starting to freak out. I cover my head, and the next thing I know, I'm waking up. That still freaks me out to this day. The next thing I know, I'm waking up part. Absolutely a trip. But yeah, so that's my Thule Res Bigfoot sighting right there, man. And I've been there a bunch of times, and I got pictures of the painted rock of the Bigfoots. You know, estimated to be 10,000 years old, painted on the rocks. But yeah, that's been a part of my life ever since 1987. At first, when I first saw a Bigfoot, I didn't like going camping anymore. It's something I enjoyed. I enjoyed being in the woods by myself for a week or two. And, you know, sometimes I would be there so long and not talking to anybody. I didn't know if, you know, I would be sitting around drinking coffee or something, and I would think, I wonder if my voice still works. And I'd be like, ooh, yep, it still works. But I mean, you're not talking, you don't say anything for a week and a half, 2 weeks. You know, I wonder if I can still make a noise, you know, because you haven't made a noise in 2 weeks. You know. But my relaxation of kicking back in the woods and feeling really peaceful and secure in my knowledge of how to, you know, in fact, proud of myself that I could go off and all by myself. I could probably live there indefinitely off the land. That went away after the Bigfoot. That went away. I didn't feel comfortable. I felt like I was living in a sack lunch, you know. Well, the Bible's true on everything. Just remember, there's not one thing in the Bible that's been disproven. In fact, a lot of people say it's a lie, but over the years, it's been proven over and over and over to be fact. Okay? Fact. If the Bible describes a Nephilim in Noah's days as being the child of a fallen angel and a woman, and then we find DNA thousands of years later of a creature that its mom, or the mom is a human and the dad is an unknown DNA, you have to kind of weigh that to that. Especially if the dad's DNA is not in any DNA database. You know what I mean? I mean, you kind of got to keep that in the back of your mind. For me, prayer and all the years that I've been researching him and all the times I've seen him and the hundreds of encounters where I didn't see him, but they were right there. Their tracks were there. I've had rocks thrown at me. Little pebbles hit me. I've had sticks thrown at me. I had them roar so loud that I could feel it inside my body vibrating from a mile away. They were at least a mile. And it sounded like a giant King Kong was coming for us. And every time it roared about every 30 seconds. It roared 10 times. And every time it roared, it was a quarter to a half a mile closer. And it was close, and then it stopped roaring. And we had a 3-mile hike out uphill. It scared the you-know-what out of me. And I couldn't run. I was on a cane. I couldn't run. And Danny actually came back and walked with me, even while it was roaring. And when we got to the top, I'm like, man, Danny, you didn't have to do that. He's like, it's all right, man. If anything would have happened, you would have face planted. Because all I got to do is outrun you. I was like, oh, thanks, man. Right on. You really care, right? Yeah. But, yeah, that was pretty scary. That was pretty scary. Well, you guys, I could barely sit here. My back is killing me. But remember, I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to make a sheath with the Bigfoot on it. And in the lives, I'm going to come and I'm going to show you the sheath. And in some lives, I'll show how far I am along on the sheath. And then when I get it all done, I'm going to do a live. And then all you have to, in that live, type happy birthday. Okay? In the future. This is coming in the future. But I want to let everybody know. And I'm going to talk about it in my lives. I'm never going to post anything. Because I want it to go to you, my subscribers, not just somebody coming to win a knife. I know it's not an expensive knife. I know it's only like $40. A right edge. But with the sheath with the Bigfoot on it that I put together and made, that makes it a little bit collectible. You can say, hey, the guy that's on Finding Bigfoot made it, or whatever. But it'll become a keepsake, I guess. At least from me to you, okay, or whoever wins. And I'm going to continue to do this too. And I'll talk about it later about that. But I got to get going. I got to call the doctor. I think I have to go change because I took a shower. I think I have to change the bandages on my back. And they told me if they start falling off or anything, I could just walk in and they'll fix them. But I'm going to call and make sure. Maybe I'll go tomorrow. But I couldn't go without another shower. I'm thinking about shaving too. I'm getting tired of that. Man. But you guys, I want to pray for all of you. I pray that you find Jesus if you don't have him. I pray that you be healed. Accept the healing right now. Jesus heals. Be blessed in every area of your life. I ask the Lord to go ahead of you, that you find favor in every place you go, that your finances be abundant, that your relationships be abundant, that you would have abundant blessings in your life every single day, in Jesus' name. All right, you guys, be blessed. I'll see you. Keep praying for me, for my back. I love every one of you, and I'll see you soon.